Welcome back to the final day of glorious Goodwood here on What a Shout, brought to you by the one and only Racing Post and with our sponsors Bet365. Myself, Dave Orton, wherever you're watching us, welcome to the final show. But you're having brunch or if you're out on the move, we're going to give you as much help as we possibly can for a serious betting day. Back in the studio, Paul Kealy to give you some help. Paul?
Yeah, I hope so. 2 big field sprints to deal with. That's always fun, isn't
You
it?
love a bit of that, though, don't you?
I love sprints, yeah, absolutely love them.
How's the week been in general?
It's been up and down. I can't say I've won an absolute fortune. I haven't done much either. Thank Mr. Marquand yesterday, just nosing one master up. I thought that was never thought that was winning until the line.
You're all over that.
That was good. Yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those that on a straight track should have been long odds on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I thought I'll take the chance, and just about got away with it.
Loads of drama yesterday, wasn't there?
Yeah, plenty.
Right. DJ from Ireland, David Jennings joins us. You were all over one master as well, my friend.
Yeah. As Kealy said there, it was one of those races where it was only just right on the line that you thought she was getting up. And I could be wrong here, but it's possibly the shortest price tip I've ever seen Paul Kealy put up. So it was quite interesting. He doesn't go for the short prices, so there must be a little bit of value when he puts one up. Would I be right in saying that, Keels?
I probably have put up a couple shorter. Ended up going off shorter, but I think it was one of those. I mean, she was 9-4 in a place the night before.
Punters love it when you guys do that, boys, by the way. We get loads of feedback about that. They're like, look, we like it when you're looking outside the box and all that. We don't understand you've got to go for value. You can't go for your batashes all the sort of time. But when they do see you boys put up a 2-to-1 shot, it does increase confidence.
It's an absolute fact. There can be value at any end of the market, can there? If the price is wrong, the price is wrong. And I just thought it was that on a straight track, one master. I mean, she represented a 2-on shot for me, you know. And, it was hands and heels, wasn't it? Basically, managed to get it out, got her there, you know what I mean? She would have won 2 lengths easy on a straight track.
Goodwood nearly got her beaten. Pat Cooney, great to have you back on the show. We can banter once more.
Yes, really looking forward to it again, Dave. Thank you very much for having me on.
Happy days. Right, then let's crack on. Straight into the first. It's the consolation for the Wokingham. Don't forget you can sign up for Bet365 if you've not done that with our sponsors. Referral code is SHOUT365. You can get under 5 credits, up to 100 bet credits if you play properly. Terms and conditions apply. Right, and starting off at 150 for you today, then it is the Stewards Consolation Race. Let's come to you, Kills, with this. A lot of people will be looking at the draw thinking, right, it's that simple. We've not had a sprint this big all week. Finally going to find out whether the far side is going to be any good. Because let's face it, they've been making a beeline for the near side.
Yeah, they've been making a beeline for the near side. But funny enough, I looked at past Stewards Cups and I was watching the videos. And when it comes to the Saturday, nobody wants to go anywhere near the stands rail at all.
Last year it was more middle,
they
wasn't
always come across. I tell you what, it's 2013 was the last time a horse drawn on the rail hugged it all the way. Other than that, they've always moved across. I mean, we're talking 6 to 7 horse widths away from the rail, always. I don't know why that is. I mean, we've had winners from low stalls, from high stalls, from middle stalls in the Stewards Cup.
So it might not quite be the pointer towards the big one that we're expecting.
Yeah, well, we don't know where they're going to go, do we? And we've got to remember there's only 16 in this and there's 28 in the big one. So, it's a case of waiting to see. I wouldn't surprise me if they just all charge down the middle.
Who's the Kealy bet?
Right, well, there's two in a way. Call Me Ginger, I quite like, finished second to Miras, who is a shorter price to win the Stewards Cup. Dwelt early in the stalls, rattled home late. Wouldn't have laid a glove on the winner. Don't get me wrong, but I mean we're talking about a much lower grade handicap for the consolation. He's a half brother to Tommy G, who's finished first, second, and third in this race.
He should have won it last year.
Should have won it again last year. Tommy G, you've got to give him an awful lot of respect as well. And of course, Primo's Comet. He's a brother to Primo's Comet. There's like 3 siblings running in the same race. I think he's he'd be my main play. But I've chucked a couple of quid each way on Dark Shot, who may be completely shot. I mean, he's run 3 times this season.
I think you're shot.
He's run 3 times this season. He's only beat 2 horses. I mean, his first run was actually in the Palace House, and he only got beat 7 lengths. And he's dropped to a mark of 72. And 2 years ago, he was 4th in this race off 88.
If you like your back class, this is a proper cliff.
He's been second in 2 dashes at Epsom. Off marks in the 80s.
I backed him
in the high 80s. He potentially a lot better than that. All his best form is on downhill tracks, which he gets now. He's more likely to finish last than first, judging on what he's done this season. But he was 50 to 1, and I think he's still 40. So.
You can't let him go on back to basically.
Small bet, very small bet.
Okay, small bet for Kills in the first. DJ, we like one towards the top of the market. I'll let you take the floor with Rawayat.
Yeah, I thought Rowayat should be shorter, to be honest with you, because with Tommy G, like Tommy G is 7. Yes, he's obviously been laid out for this race. It was a cracking run behind Prompting at Ayr. But the third that day, Right Action, has been hammered since at York, and Prompting won quite easily. I'd say Prompting was valued for more than the 2-length winning margin there. With Rowayat, I just think he's finally fulfilling that early potential. Like, he started 11-2 for a Newbury maiden. And Charlie Hills has always talked about him in glowing terms. When he won at Lingfield 2 starts ago, he was really wide, and Kieran Schumacher rode him as though he was by far the best horse in the race. Last time at Salisbury, like, it's very hard to win a 6-furlong race anywhere by 7.5 lengths, and he absolutely bolted up. It's like as if he just realised, God, I have loads of ability, 2 furlongs out and just sprint it clear. He's gone up £12 for that. But to me, he's the only one in the lineup who has the potential to kind of make the jump up into stakes class sprinting. I think the rest of them are all kind of maybe a couple of pound ahead of their marks at the best. This fella could be really, really good, and I think 7-2 is very fair.
Yeah, I can back up your opinion of the horse from Charlie Hills. I remember long time ago, Graham Dench, former Formbook editor, said to me they think they've got this sprinter basically got loads of problems. But he's well ahead of his mark. It didn't work out for him in his 3-year-old season at all. It was a Rowayat, and that Lingfield
I think it's his feet. I think all along he said he's had real problems with his actual, whatever way his feet. They couldn't get his feet right, but I think his feet are sorted now. So fingers crossed.
And that's why they've kept him to these synthetic surfaces. So what we saw at Salisbury last time were 2 things. He doesn't need to come through horses. He's not that tricky with his attitude. And if there's a group horse in the race, I agree, DJ. I think he'll go off favourite. Pat, could that be borne out?
Yes, very much so. He is the horse that's got the P for potential, hasn't he? But when the entries came through for this yesterday, I saw Tommy G just sneaking at number 17, and I thought, he's running this race 3 times in a row now. He's been 2nd, 1st and 3rd. He's got Sylvester on it. He's obviously been mapped out for the race. And then, of course, he was 2nd to Prompton in his last race. Prompton won yesterday. I thought, wow, this looks like, bet material. But I was mortified when I'm looking at the price today at 3-1, and it looks terribly short to me. And, if you take the front 2 in the market, let's say they're 7-2 each, that's only 5-4 coupled. So I'm going to go elsewhere, really. I like number 4, Saluti, who's drawn on the other side from Tommy G. Saluti's in 17. I thought he won well enough at Ponty over 5 last time. His form over 6 stacks up well. I'd rather back him at 12 each way than the front 2 coupled, I think.
Isn't that a fascinating opener on a great betting day? 2.25 then at Goodwood. You can see the smile on my face because the guys off camera having banter. We want it on the camera. DJ, let's go to you. It's a mile 6 handicap. You think this is straightforward? Another fav for you?
Yeah, another favourite. I actually approach every race possibly the same way as Keels does, although not as successfully. I want to take on a favourite when I start studying a race, and my initial reaction here was, let's get Laffey beaten. And by the time I finished studying the race, I said, how can Laffey not win this race? I watched that Old Newton Cup at Haydock quite a few times, and every time I watch it, I say to myself, do you know what? If that race was run tomorrow, I would back Laffey to beat Deja. For all that Deja won by a length and a quarter and quite convincingly at the line, I think Richard Kingscote didn't really know what to do with Laffey all the way up the home straight. Tanked through the race, absolutely tanked. Like was even money on Betfair from a long way out. Never really traded any bigger than 5-4 from about the mile pole, and just travelled really well. And Deja just swept by, and then Richard kind of had to go, oh God, we better go after this. And then the race was over. They pulled nicely clear the trader. Le Don de Vie was 4th. Obviously, that form was Frank the other day. I just think with Laffey, to step up to a mile 6 will certainly suit, I think, anyway. When he won at Newbury earlier on, when he beat Future Investment, I thought that was really impressive. He's gone up £3 for that second at Haydock. Yes, he wears a visor. Yes, he's not straightforward. But Ryan is back on board here now. And to me, he's just better than these. He's going to travel sweetly through the race. I think Goodwood is a track that will actually suit him. And I'll be really, really disappointed. I'll be devastated if he's beaten.
I mean, listen, that was pretty conclusive.
Yeah. I mean, he's come out with a remarkably good case for a horse that has a remarkably good case for him. You know what I mean? But that's it's another favourite DJ. I can't believe he operates on the same MO as I do. So we've had about 30.
When he said that, I thought this is coming back.
We've had about 32 races this week, and that was his 28th favourite.
Yeah, well, yeah. One master was a big price, wasn't he? You tipped her.
Yeah, well, don't go there, man. No, Lave's got a good chance, but the ground must be, and it must be a question mark at least. Now I know he's won on fast ground, but he seems to improve quite dramatically for an easier surface. And this is very fast yesterday. I know they stuck 8 mil on last night, but that was
on the straight.
That's on the straight course. Yeah. I mean, that will have gone. I mean, it was baking yesterday. You got to remember. It just sank straight through. It's going to be very, very fast ground. That would worry me. I've backed two. The one I like most is Hockfeld of Mark Johnston's. Now, he was a good, he was developing into a good stayer a couple of seasons ago. In fact, he was fourth in this race off 102, third in this race off 102. After that, last year he only managed 2 runs, and then he had 13 months off after that, and he didn't show much his first 2 starts this year. But then the second run was better than the first, and then the third run at Sandown when he was fourth, beating only 3.5 lengths, was better again. And I love these horses. I love a horse with a profile where his performances are getting better, and his handicap mark is going that way.
It was better at Sandown last time.
It was a lot better at Sandown. Now, he's dropped to a mark of 92. He went to an RPR of 96 last time. So his performance, his RPR was overtaken where the handicap mark's going. If he jumped another £5 a day, which is perfectly plausible for a horse that has run a good £10 better than his mark before, then he's going to be very competitive.
He's got some others in here, Braveheart, hasn't he?
Well, that's the other one. King's Advice last year's winner. He's just done nothing since. He's actually on a lower mark than when
Weird
last
profile
year.
For this horse. They ran him all throughout the winter, didn't they? And he hated the all-weather bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's just and he might bounce back on really fast ground that he likes. But I mean, the Max McCann has only finished out the first 2 once when the ground has been good to.
He's the one I like. He's a Goodwood winner.
He's a Goodwood winner as well. Yeah. So I mean, they'd be the two. I like Hockfield the most, but I'll definitely be saving on the Max McCann.
Yeah, he's my pick. Pat, you've been waiting in the wings. What wins the Mile 6 handicap?
Well, I look at Laffy and I just think he's just an ordinary handicapper, really. I don't think he's a Sir Michael Stout group or to the handicap. I mean, he's been gelded.
You weren't expecting that, DJ, were you? An ordinary handicapper.
But he's been gelded. He's had the visor on. He's gone from a mile 4 to a 2-miler to back to a mile 4. I just think he's a bit sort of flaky, really. I know his recent form makes him favourite for the race, but from a bookmaking point of view, Dave, you're giving me 3 Bravehearts in the race. Any other 3 can win that. My eye was drawn to Platitude, Amanda Perrett, Jim Crowley, almost 10 to 1. Last 2 wins have been around the course and distance. I'd rather be dabbling each way at prices, round about the 7s and 10s mark than getting stuck into Laffy. Just a handicapper, is that fair?
Split opinions, I'll tell you what, on this race. DJ gave us the absolute conclusive. We were starting to buy it. Pat says he's an ordinary handicapper. We're swarming over what could be David Jennings' nap. Right then, race 3, the LILLIE LANGTRY, another Mile 6 race this time, a Group 3 for fillies, and we've got a returning winner. We've got an absolute hot pot. Manuela de Vega is absolutely out of the race. We know that. And why isn't this going to win Embahar?
Well, it is going to win. She is going to win. She won the race last year, gave 5 lengths to Manuela de Vega, giving her a stone. Now, £11 of that was weight for age, but coming into this race, she was going to be getting £3 because Manuela de Vega had the penalty. Now she's out because of the ground. Embahar ran a fine race, went 4th on soft ground last time. She loves fast ground. I mean, she's a proper fast ground filly. She is miles better than these. I thought she's about 4 to 9, 2 to 5 now. I thought she should have been that price with Manuela de Vega in the race. She's a 5 on shot. General, and you can get 4 to 9. If you like betting like that, she'll just win.
She's probably going to lead, I would imagine. But there are 3-year-olds who are bred to step up in trip. I think Cabaletta probably is slightly overpriced. I'm not sure about Snow. You've got an opinion on this, DJ, unsurprisingly.
Yeah, I disagree with you there. Snow will definitely lead because Snow is slow. I think, I know Kealy, I was kind of petrified coming to this race because I was like, oh no, I'm tipping another favourite and, Kealy's just going to go after me. But this is surely one of the greatest 4 to 9 shots you're going to find. It's 4 to 9 at the moment with Bet365. You're in a three horse race, right? Okay. Cabaletta is 3rd favourite, just about beat Lady G in a listed race at Newbury last time. Was rated 95 prior to that, now up to 103. Here you're talking about a filly who won the race last year, who has had this race as her aim all season, and a perfectly respectable comeback at Newmarket. Unless like something unfortunate goes wrong, and fingers crossed it won't, I just cannot see any way she doesn't win. And this is one for multiples, doubles, trebles. But as regards backing a short price straight at 4-9, this is probably one of the most bulletproof ones you could find.
I don't know. Cabaletta, that Franconia form, looks a bit better to me now, and she is bred to go up and trip. Palasta won this for the same connection as well. Roger Varian. It's cat and mouse. I do think Ember Hart was a good comeback despite the fact she was beaten in Newmarket. I agree with you, but I don't want to be taking that price about her. I'm going to disagree with you there, lads. Pat, is this one for the bookies to hide behind the sofa, or...?
Well, it'll be a low turnover race, thankfully, because I'm with Keels. I just think she'll win, won't she? She's got £7 in hand over the other two. It was a decent run at Newmarket. I was down there. Connections were worried about the soft ground on her reappearance, and it was a decent run. Even that performance is good enough to win this. Back on fast ground, I don't know. You look at 4-9. You're thinking, well, hang on, Chelsea are 4-7 to win the FA Cup today. I'd rather back her at 4-9 than Chelsea at 4-7 to win the cup.
Well, the panel think if you're doing well by this point, you can play it up on Ember Hart. Biggest betting race of the week, one indeed of the season. It's the 3:35, the Stewards Cup. My goodness me. Pat Cooney, let's go to you. Nahar, what price have you got it at? Is it going to get any shorter?
I wouldn't think so, Dave. He's 4-1 as we speak at the moment. Meras, number 10, is rock solid, and they're the two that have really dominated the market. You look at Nahar. I was at Newbury when he won last time out. Connections do view him as, he could be the group horse in a handicap. And he's been very easy to price. And this race, has been a bit of a disaster for bookmakers in the last 10 years. We've had 4 winning favourites. 7 winners have been under 10-1. So it's not the, all bookies benefit by any means. Nahar, who knows if 19 as a stall number is going to be good, bad or ugly for him. I don't know. I think he's the likely winner. I quite like Swindler, though. He's drawn 23. Ed Walker, Louis Stewart, who gets on well with him. He's a right rogue on the way to the start. He'll probably delay the race by 20 minutes and play up going into the stalls and all sorts. So he's a bit of a boyo, but he is a talented horse to be running off a 96. But when you see him throw his jockey into a lap of the track, I wouldn't worry about it. That's him. I just think I'd rather be a Swindler backer at 12-ish than a Nahar Meras at 4s and 5s.
Where's the pace going to be? That's the question, isn't it? It looks like it could be low. I was reading Graham Rodway in the paper this morning. He did a real nice dissection of the draw, didn't he? And said this consolation race might not be the pointer. Of course, there's a lot more runners. Yeah. But with Atalanta Boy for David Menezes, who's not out of this, by the way. He likes a bit of fast ground. Over the far side. And Maymas.
Miras, not Maymas.
Miras, sorry, not Maymas. Maymas would hose up.
I'd back Maymas at 5s, I think, yeah.
Would you back Nahar at 4s?
Well, I mean, it's against my nature to do so, but I mean, as Pat said, sometimes this Stewards Cup, you have an absolute smash-up gamble. You remember Dancing Star winning this at about 7-2, and it was about 10 in the morning, something like that.
The Favs couldn't win from 2005 to like 2014.
How can this gamble, be that strong, and then lo and behold, they go and win? Like, what I mean? It can happen. Nahar looked really good. And the horse he beat, Watan, is like 4th favourite and got absolutely thrashed. Recon Mission was 3rd, finished tailed earlier in the week over 5 furlongs.
You were on a recon mission with that horse as well.
I was on, yeah. But he flopped out the stall, so I don't think we can read too much into that. Miras obviously looked very good at Hamilton.
You wanted to call him Maymas then?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, yeah. The double check. But there's another 3-year-old in the race called Lexington Dash, and I think he's been a little bit overlooked.
Very good at Newmarket. What happened last time?
Very, very good. He looked very, very good. I mean, he's just got that change of gear, and he's got a low action. I don't think he wants soft ground. And he travelled really well out the back, and then when it comes, he did run on in the end, but I don't think he picked up the way he can, the way he can, and it will be a lot faster. I think he's a definite potential group horse himself, and he's getting weight from the other two at the head of the market. I like him, and of course the other one I backed is my old cliff horse, Kimmy 5, who shapes like he's better than he is virtually every time he runs. He ran into a wall of horses on his first start behind Jack's Point at Newmarket. That film worked out really well. He then finished second to Barbill, who isn't without a chance for Mick Shannon. Back at 6 furlong, and then he ran in the Bunbury Cup last time and basically finished on the bridle in about 7th, nowhere to go. And I think that was. I don't really think that was his fault because Oxted had won the stand side on the July Cup half an hour before.
More excuses for
you do make excuses for Clifford, don't you? But I mean, Oxted had won basically on the stand side in the July Cup half an hour earlier. Yet the entire field went over to the far side for the Bunbury Cup, and he was on the, he was just stuck behind a wall of horses again. I mean, it was a case of Richard Kingscote sitting and suffering. We now have young Kieran Fallon taking £3 off him, and he's a sort of horse that if he's a sort of rider that if he sees half a gap, he'll go for it. And I think that could be important.
Right.
You often see
might
these
just be a little bit
young, hungry riders going for, right, I'm going for it, whereas others...
Two of them fought it out last year,
there.
didn't they? Of course, at the claiming jockeys. He was the first one since 2010, I think, to bag it. So they're your two against the field.
They're my two against the field, yeah.
Okay. I'm going for Silent Echo, who ran behind Nahar last time at Newbury. Nahar's one of these horses. I was all over him at Royal Ascot, you remember? Yeah. And he was 12s into, I don't know what, threes or something like that, something ridiculous. Got to stand side. James Doyle couldn't try any better. I think James must have thought the cavalry was behind him or something because he just went far too early. He should have won that race. We saw the real Nahar at Newbury, of course. I wasn't on that day. The one that really caught my eye in that race was Silent Echo. He wouldn't have beaten him, but he was caught behind horses. He was 7th in the race last year. Watch that back. He gets marooned. Nowhere to go early from middle stall. This is a horse that can pull his absolute head off, and he ran like stink. He was putting so hard. He still flew late on. He'll be flying late on from a high draw, and ran about 20-1 with a nice sweet weight pull against Nahar. He'll do for me. Loads of options, DJ. Where are you playing?
Oh, for about the 20th time this week, I'm ashamed of myself. I fancy Japan to beat Enable last Saturday, and this is another case of after the race I could be absolutely embarrassed. I'm going to go for Swindler. Look, he's like Keels on a night out. He could do anything. He's just an absolute headbanger, and you just don't know what way he's going to act.
Well, at least I suppose you got a fair chance of getting your money back, haven't you?
But at the end of the day, Keels is a great fella to go for a pint with, and when he's on song, he's glorious. So I just think with Swindler, I just think with the ground the way it is, now obviously this is all going to be about the preliminaries and whether Swindler takes it into his head that he wants to run today, because he might not go down to the start, he might not go into the stall, so you're just going to have to keep a close eye on him. But if he does, this horse has only ran 7 times and he's still only rated 96. Like when he won at Ascot last September, when he absolutely bolted up under Louis Stewart, the only time he's ridden the horse, like you said to yourself, this is at least a stone better than he was on that day. He's only £6 higher now. The comeback at Newmarket, again, he looked like a bit of a rogue. He went off favourite, but it was a lovely comeback, and I'm sure Ed Walker was delighted with it. I just think if all goes right, he is the best handicapped horse in the race. And because he's such a rogue, he's such a big price. Obviously, he didn't go into the stalls at Ascot. And I think that's been factored into the price a little bit too much, because if he doesn't go into the stalls, you get your money back. It's not a case of if he goes into the stalls, he might not come out. It's just he won't go in. So I think if he goes in, I think that 12-1 is going to look a big price. I think he's the best handicapped horse in the race, and sure, I love a good rogue.
Who doesn't? You've likened Kealy.
Oh well, yeah, but I mean, he is a very talented horse, but just because he hasn't stayed in the stalls before doesn't mean he won't.
He's becoming quite well named, isn't he?
Absolute hound.
DJ called you a headbanger. Him and Pat are now getting on again. We're all friends again here on What a Shout. That was the Stewards Cup. On to the 410, really interesting handicap this, over 7 furlongs, non-runner cold front. I would have been all over William Haggis's horse had I been here. I've now come down on Society Line. It was supposed to run on the opening day or second day. They pulled him out because there was a little bit of juice in the ground. That form at Doncaster looks very good, doesn't it? And I don't like Mr. Snowden in the second fav, so I think this will probably now go and win.
The winner's well regarded, isn't it? But got beat at Ascot, didn't it? Didn't seem to run his race. Tiger Crusade.
Tiger Crusade. Thanks for having me out there.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think the third or fourth was one. I think the form is strong. I think he's the right favourite, but I think Tom Frey should be clear second favourite. I don't think he's being given the credit he deserves, and I don't think there's more between them in their price than there should be. Now, Tom Frey came out, was very unlucky at Sandown earlier in the season. Just didn't get a run. Got up. I thought he'd got up. I thought he'd got up, and but just got nutted. Now in that race in fourth, the other horse that was unlucky was Surf Dancer. But I think given a clear run, they would have finished first and second. Myself, Surf Dancer since come out and bolted up in a York listed race and gone up to 100 and something. Tom Frey was very, very consistent last year. Won 3 times, good ground, good to firm ground. Got a soft ground. But then ran in the Bunbury Cup and had loads of trouble against the older horses, and just ran no race, couldn't get a run. So I'd forgive him that. He's just a very consistent horse with a good finishing burst as well, which did suit Goodwood.
Before we come to Pat then for a market update, DJ, you like this fav as well?
I did earlier on in the week, but the one that I like now is Mr. Snowden, because Yeah, I watched the race at Yarmouth last time, and I said to myself, wherever this horse is running next, I will be on it, because like, he traded at 1.33, he was 7-2, he was well backed. I thought 6 might suit him, and it was a funny sort of race, because you watch the race and you say he travelled like the best horse in the race, possibly should have won.
So why didn't he win? That's my problem with him, Dave. I thought he should have won that.
I don't know what. Yeah, I was the same. I was kind of going, this is over. Like, from the 2 furlong pole, it was over, because he was on the near side of Yarmouth, and usually the camera angle favours you, and you think, oh, he's just going to sweep by and win. And then he just didn't get to Mr. Kealy. But I'm just willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's only had the 4 runs, and just the ease with which he travelled through that race was astonishing, really, because he was absolutely tanking under Shane Kealy 2 out, and it was a decent race. Like, go back through his form, and his form stacks up. Like, he beat Enemy in a Yarmouth novice race earlier on in the season. Like, Enemy's rate is 89 or 90 now as well. And I just think the ease at which he travelled there will suit Goodwood. I know he's up a furlong and trip, but he's just going to tank in behind them. And I think Shane Kelly's just going to pull him out, and the camber just might help him just to get home this time, because I think he might just come to the outside, swoop by and win. I think he'll just about get home. I think the way he travels means that he must be a very good horse. So Mr. Snowden for me.
Well, I'll tell you what, Pat, I thought this was going to be a really quick race to go through Society Line. Looks like he might be drifting then.
Yeah, he was quite well supported earlier on in the week, and the official description was a non-runner because of the unsuitable ground. I think there was a bit of give in the ground at the time. He did have a rotten draw that day. I don't know if that was another contributing factor to his non-appearance, but the draw's no problem today. The price doesn't thrill me, but it just seems to me the likely winner. He's only off 91. Was a perfectly good run of 86 last time out. He does look the type of horse that's going to be rated 100 soon enough in his career, and if that's going to happen, he'll probably win today. I just see him as the likely winner, but as I say, his price doesn't thrill me.
We're getting towards the business end of the card. That's a tricky puzzle. Solved. 4:40 then. Tricky Maiden coming up, or is it? There's been a really well-backed horse in this. In that case, let's go over to Pat Cooney to see whether that makes sense to him or not.
Yeah, Titian, number 11, William Haggis, Tom Marquand. You can't go much wrong back in those connections. Has been well backed, is now around about a 6-4 favourite. You have to say it was a promising debut at Newmarket. It was soft ground that day, and this one ran ever so well. Will it be effective on this faster ground? Yeah, probably, I suppose, but the market is steering you one way. I will say there's an interesting runner in the race, Tazpeak, an unraced one of Marcus Dragonin. When Marcus was interviewed after Muhatha won the Sussex Stakes, the question, have you got anything else later on in the week? And he said, yes, I'm running a very decent 2-year-old called Tazpeak. So draw a ring round him if you're not part of the Tyche and Gamble.
Yeah, anything he's running this week, DJ, Marcus Dragonin, is either winning or going very close. Have you got a strong opinion here for us?
Yeah, I was fancying Titian, but it's, what are we calling it?
Titian.
Titian. Okay, Titian. Yeah, I like Titian. Like, it only costs €15,000 as a yearling. It's a son of Ifraj. Doesn't jump off the page on pedigree, certainly. But like that run at Newmarket, like Youth Spirit obviously franked the form, I thought, earlier. Or, wasn't Youth... Did Youth Spirit not run earlier on this week? What was that called?
Which one?
Did Youth Spirit not run against Battleground? It did, yeah. Youth Spirit ran...
yes, it did.
Was third to Battleground earlier on this... Yeah, that's right. And obviously Naval Crown was third, and Naval Crown I thought ran okay. It was only third in the listed race last Saturday, but ran okay. And I just thought with Titian, like, if you're watching the race and you want to take one out of the race, you would probably take Titian, because there's 28 to 1 outsider. Wasn't really fancied. Obviously they hadn't done that much with it, or else it hadn't been sparkling at home. And it got an easy race under Danny Tudhope that day, and I'd imagine there's loads of improvement to come. Now obviously you're kind of guessing, because there's a newcomer with Marcus Draconing in there. There's a few that have only ran a couple of times, but yeah, it's a bit like the winner of the maiden on the first day. I would imagine that Titian is going to make the significant improvement, and I think he's going to be hard to beat.
He was a right old eye catcher in that race, wasn't he? He'll do for me. I've got him on top. I thought Golden Flame was one of the each way thievery bets of the week, but I wonder whether there might be one better than him. I must admit.
Well, it was. I mean, my selection would have been, probably still is, Golden Flame. Ran fourth in the Cheshire. Obviously, that form isn't that bad.
Was it the ground then in the Cheshire? Because he did just stop a bit, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, but I mean, it's he was running against some fair horses. I mean, the Battleground has obviously come out and won the vintage. I think that's perfectly good. The only problem is, I would say that I've backed a couple of Mark Johnson horses today. That quite a few of his runners ran like they were dragging an anvil yesterday, didn't they?
Some few people have said that to me.
Look, that had worried me slightly. The comment about Tasfik, which I missed earlier in the week, because I always used to back Marcus Dragon in maidens at this meeting, because if he had a decent one, he would introduce it, and that's interesting. And I would never get involved in going too short in maiden races when other horses haven't run, because you do not know. And as simple as that, there could be very good horses. Don't remember. In fact, William Haggis had the 8-1 shot that won earlier in the week, beating the shorter price rivals there. That was Spirit of Bermuda. So now he's got the Fab. There could be other horses in the race. Charlie Hills has got Il Bandito. Now this
won it last year.
This is a 33-1 poke, but he's only run 3 horses in this maiden in the last 5 years. 2 of them won. Both were owned by Susan Roy.
Persuasion
last year was 16-1. Can't remember the name of the other one, but it was a better horse, I think. Dutch Connection. No.
Dutch. Oh no, it wouldn't have been Dutch Connection.
That was too long ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Can't
I know
remember,
the horse you're on about.
But even so, 2 winners from 3 runners, all both for the same owner. 33-1 shot, cost 200 grand nearly as a yearling.
You like to bet big in maidens, though, don't you?
I mean, I don't. This is like 10 each way job, for a bit of fun, But I don't go near the shorties when we don't know, do we? We just don't know.
Yeah. It was Dutch Connection, by the way.
Was it Dutch Connection?
Dutch Connection 2014.
Yeah, feels like it was a lot longer ago, doesn't it?
It really does.
Connection.
Good shout, Paul Kealy.
Yeah.
Really, really interesting maiden. Are you going for the favourite? Can you believe it? We've come to the very final race at Glorious Goodwood. It's an apprentice handicap. It was a real gamble in this last year. Kieran Fallon rode it for Godolphin. Gifts of Gold, I think it was. Your Hyde was second in the race. I was all over that. He runs again. I just don't offer much higher mark. I can't really see it. Murad is the favourite. 4-1 the field. Taking him on with something big and juicy, or?
Murad's run 2 fine races this year. He goes from the front, and he's got 2 Mark Johnson horses over right.
And Alfred Boucher, I thought he can get on with.
Street Lightning, Alfred Boucher. I mean, there's a lot of pace in this race. Might just suit Exec Chef, who has run well at the course before, was trained by Jim Bohr, has gone to George Scott.
Has he put headgear on him?
He's put headgear on him. He's very, very well handicapped on the pick of last season's form.
I backed him at Sandown last time. He was a right gamble in that, because I think he does want a bit of juice in the ground. Jim Ball thought he wanted a bit of juice in the ground, so that was what put me off him.
Yeah,
but I agree from a handicapping point of view, he's there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is that the bet?
That's my bet, anyway.
Okay, I've gone for Street Lightning, actually. One of the ones you mentioned there were Johnson's. Oliver Stammer's on. I think it probably was a Miras thing. This was soft ground, wasn't it, last time? If you go back to the horse that he beat on debut at Wolverhampton, he beat a very good one of Ed Dunlop's. It's come out and won since, and I just think this might be one to get back on track, but there are plenty of angles there. DJ, give us some more help.
I fancy Citizen Surge for Richard Hannon and Thor Hammer Hansen. For a couple of reasons. On debut at Wolverhampton, this horse was beaten in nose by the First King. Possibly should have won. Looked like it was actually up passing the line. The First King beat Enemy at Sandown last time and is now rated 87. And Citizen Surge, who hasn't ran the handicap yet, is only rated 77. And I think this horse has just been ridden too aggressively on all its runs since. It ran against Yuri Gagarin at Kempton. Aggressive ride again, finished second, beaten 3 lengths. Then the run that really interests me was the third run at Chelmsford, where again a really aggressive ride under Sean Levy that day, and tried to kind of kick clear of 2 decent horses. Astro King was odds-on favourite with second, but the winner was Tenbury Wells, who done extraordinarily well to win off a slow pace at Ascot last Sunday. I thought that was a really good run. And last time it ran at York against My Oberon, Ben Curtis rode him that day, and again. You were watching the race, you were just kind of going, will you just calm down? Just calm down, just set easy fractions. And it's like as if they think he's a 2-miler or something, because he's just setting 2 fast fractions in the early part of the race. I'm praying he's going to get a lead this time, because I want to see what this horse can do when he gets a lead, because I don't think he's too bad. He's only rated 77 now. Like, he's been running okay, and he's been dropping from 82 to 80 and now down to 77 for his first handicap. He's drawn it in stall 12, which is obviously a little bit tricky. But I think he's better than 77 horse. He's 12-1 bet 365. I think that's a good price each way.
He was on my shortlist, I've got to admit, for all the reasons DJ's given. Pat Cooney?
A bit dull to say, but I think the favourite's got a terrific chance. He's had 2 excellent runs in Class 2 handicaps. This is a Class 3, that's why he's top weight. Owen Burrows is still firing in the winners. This horse has got a real good handicap mark, in my opinion. And I just think the jockey booking's very significant. Kieran Fallon, I don't know if Kieran's got an agent, I would imagine he was probably offered about half a dozen rides in this race, so I'm pretty sure he's picked the right one, Murad. I think he ticks just about every box going. I think the pace will be fast and furious. He can just sit in behind and may the best horse win, and that's him.
He's gone to Tony Hind, I think, Kieran Fallon now. One of the best Northern jockeys out there. Okay, that's the last. Pat Cooney says keep it simple with Murad. Nap time. All right, I'll go first. I think Rawayat will take out the first. This is definitely a pattern horse. Should be running in the big one itself. For Charlie Hills, Paul Kealy.
Yeah, no, I'm going for Lexington Dash in the Stewards Cup. I think it's a
Nice
price.
big duck. And DJ, you're hoping to be laughing at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm just going to put up a winner. So I'm going to go for Laffy in the 225.
Pat Cooney.
Well, they say patience is a virtue, so I'm going to wait for 5:10 and go for Murad in the lucky last.
There is your 4-timer on the final day. Right then, thanks guys. That's it. Time to sign off here on What a Shout. Been a great week, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been good fun, yeah. Hopefully we'll bang a few more winners in today.
Cheers, Kills. See you next week. DJ, enjoy the day. What does it hold in store, my friend?
Yeah, working today. I'm on Spotlight, so get to watch a bit of racing in the background, mind the child for a while, give Aoife a bit of a break.
Anything at
just
Galway? Anything at Galway?
Galway's interesting day. I did tipping in the paper and I've tipped some big prices. Aussie Valentine runs in the 345 and it's 25 to 1 bet 365. The ground has come right for that. I think that's interesting. And the race before it, the 310, Chimerick for Sheila Lavery and Robbie Colgan, real eye catching debut run. So Chimerick and Aussie Valentine, 25 to 1. I think that's a huge price.
We had to get DJ sneaking in some Galway, didn't we? Pat Cooney, it's been great to have you all week. Thanks very much, mate.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it, Dave.
Happy days then. Thank you for joining us here this week on What a Shout. One more day left. Massive betting day at that. Don't forget, gamble responsibly. Lots to aim at. Don't forget to download the free Racing Post app. You can do that on the App Store or the Google Store itself. Enjoy the day. That's it here on What a Shout.